here's another exclusive that we continually get on the countdown. Dana White told me GSP initially wanted Nick Diaz, and Dana was like, listen, you ain't coming back and not fighting for a title. You're not coming back and yeah. So he said, pick your poison. So he said, right, I'll fight Michael Bisping then. He wanted Nick Diaz, but Dana said, nah, it's got to be a title fight, because it's going to be so big.
So when GSP is talking about, like, I want to get the guy with the highest stock for the big, it's like, that's kind of bullshit because Nick Diaz doesn't have the highest stock. I mean, he's been on a layoff as well.
Oh, and here's another thing, by the way. Goddamn Nick Diaz going around this. Have you seen this, Lewis?
What do you do?
It's all over he did a story on TMZ.
Send me the link and we'll watch it on break because everyone's chiming in about this whole thing. Everyone's got an opinion and everyone and their mother. And I'd love for you to respond to a bunch of them. I know Rogan talked about the fight. Nick Diaz did. So let's take a break really quick. All right. So here's the thing. You are the UFC middleweight champion. You have a huge target on your back. Everyone and their mother, obviously everyone in the middleweight division, but not only that, you have people in the 170-pound division. Obviously, George St. Pierre's, that fight is coming up. You've had Tyron Woodley call you out. You have guys from, every weight class, every organization, and guys that are retired. Nick Diaz goes on TMZ. You just sent me this. I don't have the actual clip of him talking, but I do have the quote. This is what Nick Diaz says about you. You want to know the truth right now? I talked to Michael Bisping already in New York about doing this fight. I remember this because this was right here at SiriusXM. There's more money for him if he takes the fight with me. We were talking about a catchweight fight. He's talking about it like it's going to be hard to make the weight. I'm like, come on. It would be a non-title fight. After I whoop his ass, he still keeps the belt. So that's more money when he goes to fight GSP. Same with George. I'm just doing more numbers than he is so you can have more money to fight me.
Well, gotta love Nick Diaz and the delusional world that the Diaz brothers live in.
Yeah.
Nate wants $20 million for his next fight. Not going to happen. Nick wants me to drop to 180 to fight him in a non-title fight. I mean, look at the abuse I'm getting right now for fighting in a title fight against George St. Pierre. Could you imagine if I said, no, I'm going to have a fight without the belt on the line? Nick Diaz, come on, you would have whooped my ass. And if you are such a badass, why have I got to drop to 180? You fought Anderson Silva at 185. Fight me at 185. That's what I said to him at the time. We were in New York. We were hanging out. And I said, yeah, all right, if you want to fight, let's go. No problem. He said 180. I said, I don't think I can make 180. Honestly, making 185 is not easy at all. So, Nick Diaz is going to do Nick Diaz. Good for him. But win a fight, bro. It's been a while.
Yeah. And look, I am a huge Nick Diaz fan.
Oh, no, me too. I love Nick and Nate. I do. They're awesome.
They're great, but it does seem like it's almost like they're playing the game a little bit wrong. They're right. Both of those guys are more valuable than 98% of the fighters in mixed martial arts, just in terms of the name recognition, what they bring.
Agreed.
Nick or Nate are on a card. Everybody's watching now. They're stars, and there's a lot of value there. Okay, but look, dude, Nate, you were less than one half of the equation because Conor was really the part of the equation that made everyone buy that pay-per-view. And yes, he added to it. It was the fact that it was Nate and Conor, both of them coming together doing it was a huge thing. But to be honest with you, Nate never did those type of numbers without Conor, and I don't think he'll do those type of numbers without Conor moving forward.
He won't. There's no think about it. He won't do those kind of numbers. He'll do good numbers, though. Nate Diaz definitely became a solid draw. He's captivating. He promotes well. He's an interesting character.
Exciting fighter, too.
I was just about to say that as well. And the way they fight, they bring it every time, So I love watching them. If Nick or Nate are fighting, I never miss it. They're awesome. But Nick Diaz, come on, man. I'm not going to drop down to 180 to not put the belt on the line. That just can't happen. I'm the champ. I got to fight for the belt.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a shame because it is a great fight. I would, as a fan of Nick.
It was talked about a long time ago before I was the champion.
Yeah.
And they had no interest. I remember Nate Diaz was on UFC Tonight and I was hosting. And the conversation turned to Nick and I said, hey, I'm available. And Nate Diaz said, no, well, Nick wants the biggest fights he can get. And I said, well, tell him I'll fight him. And he said, nah, man, I'm telling you. As I say, he wants the biggest fights he can get, man. And you ain't one of them. And I'm like, all right, well, now look how it's changed.
I like your impressions are coming together. You do a decent Nate. Your GSP, your GSP. It sounds just like him. That's it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah. That's your Arnold. That's pretty good too. So here's the deal, right? This all. The entire kind of weekend for UFC 209 started with the surprise presser between you and George St. Pierre. GSP coming back after a 3-year layoff. Yeah. Obviously, all eyes on this presser. Great way to kind of cross-promote UFC 209, get people hyped up, pumped up, talking about the UFC. All eyes were on this presser. Michael Bisping shows up late. We did speak about this. You dealt with some issues getting, from your hotel there. There was an issue with the cab, and that's fine. But you missed some things before you got there, and you haven't had a chance to respond to some of these. So I wanted to go over some of the things that GSP said.
Is it like the stock market?
Is that GSP on the phone? Did we get him on? What is that? Oh, that was Bisping. Oh, sorry. You got me again.
Play the clips.
So here it is, guys. This is what he was saying before Michael Bisping arrived at the UFC 209 presser. This is clip number 1.
The landscape in mixed martial art change all the time. We had ups and downs and discussion. It's been a long time, a long process. I want to say thanks to the UFC, thanks to my management team to make that possible. And at one point after UFC 206 Toronto, I kind of lost hope, and then it bounced back and they announced me the great news. So I'm very happy to be here.
I am very happy to be here.
He should be happy. What about thank you to Michael Bisping? In my own, my own narcissistic way. But yeah, no, good for him. I don't see, what was the point in playing that clip?
Well, these are the clips that if you were sitting right next to him in the press conference, this is what he would have said. So I figured what would have been your response in that moment, which I thought that was great. Why don't you thank Michael Bisping?
Yeah, I would have said, hold on a minute. I'm the champ. I accepted the fight. Play the next clip. Come on, let's get something juicy. Come on, we can do better.
This is George St. Pierre and how he feels coming back.
I feel it's great. I'm so excited right now. Yesterday I took the picture and just like the company has changed, but to come back, I feel like rejuvenated. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay.
All right.
Hot stuff.
Again,
hot take.
It is. I tell you, this stuff is hot fire. Do we have a clip where he's saying, I feel better than ever because my friend told me and my coach said to me, George, you are better than ever, and the George St. Pierre today would destroy the George from before.
The George St. Pierre from before, I would step on his face. I would say, you are a pussy.
Do we have something along those lines?
Go with GSP about how he's not going to be the old GSP.
I'm not going to be the old GSP. If I come back as the same Georges St. Pierre I used to be when I was very successful, I'm going to have a very bad night, the night of the fight. If I come back, it's because my trainer and my training partner are all convinced that I'm a better version than I was when I used to compete. I believe right now I reached the perfect peak of athleticism, knowledge, and wisdom as a fighter, and I'm going to prove it to everyone.
Okay, this is the clip. This is the one I wanted to get to. So many things. Now, the thing that he said there, let's start at the beginning. So he says, I'm not the same George St. Pierre. If this George St. Pierre from all turned up, I'd have a very bad night. I'm a better version. Well, guess what's that? You know what that's called, Lewis?
What?
It's called progression.
Yeah.
That's what's supposed to happen. If I was the same version from 4 years ago, I'd have never won the belt. You're supposed to get better, buddy. So that's just obvious. So again, no surprises there. And then what he went on to say, and he also said this in many interviews, and I saw this and I found this very interesting. And I believe this is a look into the psyche of George St. Pierre and to the weakness of George St. Pierre. He kept saying, my trainer told me, my coach told me, my friend told me, my mom, my auntie, my nephew, my next door neighbor, everybody told me I'm getting better.
Mechanic, he told me that I'm so good.
Everybody says I'm better. My coach told me I'm better. Everybody tells me. Well, that's weakness, man. I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm good enough to step in there and fight. I know it in my heart and soul. I know I have the ability. I don't need a bunch of yes men around me that are on the payroll to pump me up and make me feel good and give me the confidence to fight for a living. I'm a fighter because I'm a fighter. This is just who I am. This is my identity. But George St. Pierre needs some paid yes men to build up his confidence, to give him the confidence to step in there after being away for 4 years. I found that very, very interesting.
You're absolutely right, champ. As everyone that's paid to be around you is shaking their head yes right now.
Josh, SoundCloud that immediately and agree with it.
Everyone's going, yeah, that's right.
Yes,
and
yes,
we're all
yes.
being paid to be on the Michael Bisping show.
I'd be here for free.
We are a bunch of phonies.
That's too good. Oh, we're not supposed to laugh at our own jokes, but whatever.